What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Blitz Angle. Today, my name is Ryan Linkletter, and I'm here with Dan Loya. Week 15 predictions. It's here. Playoff race is heating up. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for podcasts 4 to 5 times a week from me and Dan. We have Brady hopping in as well. So make sure you guys tune in the Blitz Angle content. But Dan, let's start off with the biggest game of the week, and it's in the 12 o'clock slate, the Bills versus the Patriots. What are you looking at this game, and which team is going to come out on top?
Yeah, man, we're starting off with a heavyweight fight here in the AFC East. Overall, dude, I've been, my thoughts on the Bills. I'm not going to continue to harp on it, but I like this Patriots team, and Mike Vrabel after a bye week is 6-0, so he's undefeated.
Mm,
So I like their chances there. But the overall, man, the Patriots defense is underrated. They've held teams under 24 points 12 of 13 games this season, and the Bills' offense is the Josh Allen show. Obviously, he can go off any game, but I think the Patriots will hold him in check. The Bills' offense overall has been held under 20 points 3 of the previous 4 games. Allen has taken 3+ sacks in 4 of the last 6, and he's thrown 6 interceptions in the last 5 games. So I think the Patriots are going to win. I don't understand why they're underdogs. I think they're going to feel disrespected, and they're going to take control of this game and sweep the Buffalo Bills in the regular season.
Yeah, I think this one is obviously probably one of the best games of the slate. And for me, it comes down to the injuries on the defensive side of the ball for the New England Patriots, right? Since Milton Williams has been out of the lineup, this has not been a good
Yeah.
defense statistically or on the field in general. This has not been the same New England Patriots that was one of the best run defenses in football to open the year. They've struggled against the pass the entire year because of their lack of pass rush, and it's even worse now without Milton Williams out of the lineup. Buffalo is going to have an advantageous matchup on the ground, which is their identity in this offense, is get James Cook going, and Josh Allen is our secondary option, which is one of the best secondary options you could have, is having Josh Allen being able to throw the ball. Buffalo is going to have a lot more available, and I know they lost at home in that first matchup, but I have a feeling with this Buffalo Bills team coming into this matchup, they're finding ugly ways to win games. New England, right? They're riding high off this win streak. They're a young team, right? They haven't necessarily found success like this in quite some time. And they're a team that was riding into the bye week hot, Dan. They had that bye week, right? I don't know if we're going to get that same version of New England post bye week that we got prior to that. Milton Williams still out. Buffalo advantageous matchup on the ground. Give me the Buffalo Bills in this one. James Cook's overs are going to hit. And I think that when you look at the matchup on the other side of the ball, the Bills' strength is their pass defense. And I know Drake May had a solid game the first time these two teams matched up, but New England is going to have to run the ball more effectively if they're going to want to win this game against a really bad Buffalo Bills defense. I think that with Buffalo in this matchup, they match up well with New England. And I know that New England got the better of them the first time, but it almost felt like they played near a perfect game on both sides of the ball. I don't expect that in this one. I think with the injuries, it is going to go in the Bills' favor. Give me the Buffalo Bills. James Cook overs. And one guy you need to watch out for is Dalton Kincaid, another good matchup. Hunter Henry unders as well is another thing I'd like. All right. Big AFC North battle, Ravens versus Bengals. This division, Dan, it feels like we could have a team below 500 winning it. What are your thoughts on this one right here?
Yeah, dude. So I'm just trusting my eyes these last couple weeks, and when I look at the Baltimore offense, it doesn't look good. It's scored under 24 points 4 straight games, and their defense has kind of been leaky. Baltimore's defense has given up 29.5 points per game the last 2 weeks. It's not a good recipe when you got Joe Burrow coming into town. Ever since he's returned, he's averaged 33 points per game, 30 points scored back to back. They were in absolute control of the game in Buffalo. They led the entire game until that fourth quarter when Joe Burrow threw an interception. The corner made a great for Benford on a corner blitz, and that was the game. But overall, dude, I like what I've seen from Cincinnati's offense. Their defense is improved. It's not one of the worst anymore. It's a little bit
Yeah.
better. They provide a little resistance now, and I don't think Baltimore's offense is going to be able to keep up with the Cincinnati offense. So I really like Cincinnati at home this week against the Ravens.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one for sure. Baltimore's come into this matchup slumping a little bit, and in the
Yeah,
first time, Cincinnati, they beat them thoroughly in that last matchup, and their defense is significantly improved. The Ravens are a hard team to trust. I'll just openly say that right now.
absolutely.
But the biggest thing when I look at the Bengals side of it, they're going to be missing T. Higgins in this one, Dan, and that's a massive loss for this offense against a Baltimore defense that while they were more bend but don't break style defense the last time these two teams played, I would relatively say they had success slowing down Joe Burrow in this offense on a per play basis. So I think the matchup for the Ravens defensively looks much better in this one. And I do think that the ground game matchup of Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson utilized his legs more against Pittsburgh than he has. This is a do or die game for the Baltimore Ravens. And I think that they're going to live up to it. I think with the Bengals being out T. Higgins, I don't love it. I was kind of going back and forward, but as soon as T. Higgins was out, I was like, you know what? Baltimore is going to win this game. They're going to make it an interesting race. And we'll talk about that Pittsburgh game, you know, coming up in the show. But I think it's going to come down to, once again, the Steelers and the Ravens playing here either next week or the week after for that division title.
Is
So,
is T. Higgins really out, or is he? Because I
yep,
see he's limited. Did they really
no,
rule him
he's
out
out.
this
He's
morning?
out. He's out.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
no
fine.
T. Higgins in this one. No T. Higgins. So I think that when I look at it too, it's going to be a heavy Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely game. They should go over their prop totals in this matchup. All right. Another big game in
Like,
that slate. You got the Chargers taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Once
hey,
again, another week, another Chiefs do or die game, and they just haven't been coming up. Four of the last five games have been losses for Kansas City. Dan, who are you going with?
yeah, man. I think it's the Kansas City Chiefs are gonna bounce back. I got them to win. I know it hasn't looked good. You know, they lost what they're 1-6 in one score games this year, but I think this is a bounce back game. If anybody's watched that Monday Night Football game in LA, the Chargers, it was Justin Herbert willing his team to victory. Like they didn't dominate that game at all. Their pass defense is really good, but other than that, they were dominated at the line of scrimmage. Herbert took a beating. I think it's going to be too much for the Chargers to overcome on the road. It's going to be cold, tough environment. You know, the Chargers' offensive line is banged up. They've given up 47 sacks this year. That's tied third worst in the league. They allowed 229 quarterback pressures, and I think the Kansas City Chiefs will be able to take advantage of it. Also, the Kansas City Chiefs are top 10 against the run, and the Chargers want to establish the run, especially on the road. So I really like the Kansas City Chiefs to bounce back in this matchup. Uh, I know their offense is in a slump. The Chargers defense, I think they're going to grit out like I don't know, maybe a field goal victory, maybe be a low scoring game. I don't know what your score is here, but I really like the Chiefs here, and they're not dead. I know everyone's like burying them, but like until like they're officially eliminated, like I'm not going to talk any smack. Like I I think they're going to win this game. So
Yeah, I honestly would rather just have them lose out than sneak in at this point with the way this team's constructed, get a higher draft pick, retool that defensive line, maybe get Jeremiah Love. That would be the ideal route. But, this is a game where, you know, the Chiefs are just the better team, right? It's as simple as that. They're the better team than the Chargers. It's just they're not winning the games that they should. Like last week, they're a better team than Houston, and their offense just have so
mm,
many They're a better team than Houston. Let's just be honest.
uh,
When you look at those two rosters, Dan, when you look at the two rosters,
they're
Kansas
not
City is
though.
just
They're not.
significantly better than Houston. They have a great defense, but their offense is just not good at all. Kansas City at full strength offensively, right? It's just a different game. And there was multiple opportunities the Chiefs had, and they go for it on 4th and 1 in their own 30. It's a different ball game. Like it's just plays like
Yeah,
that
they
every
shouldn't have done
single
it.
week that change the course of a Chiefs game. And I expect the same thing to be true in this game. They're going to make the same stupid mistakes they've been making the all year, whether it's a holding penalty on the opponent's side of the field, whether it's a drop pass, whether it's Mahomes making a bad read, and then the defense not getting pressure when they should in an advantageous matchup. That's going to happen. I just think that this is a game where it's going to be 20-17, ugly. They'll find a way to win
Okay, yeah,
this one and make it interesting down the stretch here. I just don't think the Chargers are a very good football team. We saw that against the Eagles this past week. I mean, the Eagles had so many opportunities to win that game and they just couldn't
yeah,
do it. And it feels like the Chargers have been like just barely getting by in some of these games. And you saw in Jacksonville a few weeks ago against a formidable opponent who wasn't really like slumping, they got absolutely blown out. So I just don't think
yep,
Los Angeles is a great team. I like Aronde Gadsden unders. I don't think Amarian Hampton and Kamani Vidal are great fantasy plays. And on the Chiefs side of things, I don't know who to target in this matchup. It's more of an ugly, low scoring, gritty game. 2017. I'm going with Kansas City, but not super confidently like I have been. Let's get to some games that do have some meaningful impacts, but aren't necessarily at the top of the list. You got the Eagles taking on the Raiders, Dan. You got the Texans taking on the Cardinals. You got the Bears taking on the Browns. And then you have the Jaguars taking on the Jets. Those are all games that you have a team in the playoff race and you have a team out of contention. We saw the Falcons were able to pull off a win against a team
Mhm.
fighting for a playoff spot. Are there any teams in that mix that you look at and say, okay, this team has a chance of pulling off the upset this week?
Yeah, well, I look at that Eagles Raiders game and I look at the Bears Browns. Something about those two games, like I picked the favorite in both, but something about those games, really worries me. Like for the Raiders, the Raiders really want to win this game. Pete Carroll's fighting for his job, and he would love nothing better than to, in the what season review with the owner, say, hey, I went into Philadelphia and beat the Super Bowl champs. So the Raiders, I think, are going to get their best shot. Kenny Pickett's going to start this week, but their offense stinks and they're only averaging 15 points per game. And against this Eagles defense, it's going to be way too much. I think they have a chance because the Eagles offense is in a slump. Jalen Hurts has been playing some really bad ball lately. They scored under 22 points 5 straight games. But I think the Eagles are going to win. And then the Bears Browns, a cold game. The Browns got a really underrated defense, but I'm going to believe in Ben Johnson there. So I went with the Bears. Also, Shadur Sanders, and he's played in what 4 games now. He's thrown 3 interceptions, and the Bears are number one in the NFL with 18 interceptions. So I like the favorites in Bears and Eagles. Arizona Texans, dude. Yeah, the Cardinals are 1-10 in the last 11. I don't know if you have the guts to pick the Cardinals this week. I
No,
sure don't.
no,
Houston 5. Yeah, dude. Houston 5 straight wins. Arizona has allowed 45 sacks this season. Yeah, good luck blocking this team. They also lost their left tackle, so poor Jacoby Brissett's going to be taking a beating on Sunday, and then Jets Jags, dude. Yeah, we're gonna have what Brady Cook start this
yeah,
week. Yeah, yeah, no thanks. Jaguars are gonna win their fifth in a row. Their offense is rolling, and I think the trade that's really helped them is Jacoby Myers, dude. It's
yeah.
really changed their offense, and Trevor Lawrence actually has looked good. He's averaging about 200 during this win streak, 240 pass yards per game and 2 touchdowns. So give me the favorites in all those games.
Yeah, the Jaguars are firing on all cylinders. I think the matchup against Brady Cook of a defense generating a 38% pressure rate since their bye week is very impressive. It's going to be tough for
Yep.
the Jets. I think the Jaguars, who are starting to find their rhythm offensively, especially in that passing game being a bit more consistent, they should take care of business there. And I agree with you. I think the Texans are going to manhandle the Cardinals in this one. Brissett has been pretty good filling in as a starter. He's down as left tackle in this one. He's down Marvin Harrison. Not looking great for that one. I think that one still will be like a 20-7 game. Like it'll be ugly. It'll be low scoring. I don't think the Texans offense is by any means good, but their defense
Yeah.
is gonna put them in great position to have a lot of success in that matchup. And I think Woody Marks is a player I look at in for a probably really good game against Arizona. As far as the Bears matchup goes, it's tough because I think the Browns match up well with the Bears on paper with their defense and the Bears having uh a
Yeah.
bad defense in general. So I look at it though, the Bears just are finding ways to win these games. And this might be a one-score game that Caleb Williams is going to have to make a few plays, but they're finding ways to win these games. And you're seeing that like in the second half, this team plays at another level. They play at a winning level in the second half. It's just a matter of can they limit it in the first half and avoid some of the mistakes. I want to see Caleb Williams finally get within rhythm and play within schedule for one of the few times this season. We'll see if Ben Johnson can get him there. But
Yeah, they need him
the
to.
other thing is I just don't trust the Browns offense enough to put a pick on them this week, especially on the road in Chicago. I know it's not one of the hardest places to play in the world, but the Cleveland's going on the road. They just lost to the Titans, who basically had no life whatsoever in a majority of their games this year. So that's not a very impressive loss for them. And I think Chicago in the playoff picture, I know this game means a lot to them, especially coming off a loss to Green Bay. Give me the Bears. And then the last one, the Eagles are going to manhandle the Raiders. This one's going to get ugly. I think that the Raiders are just trending in the complete wrong direction. The Eagles are as well, but this is a matchup. I just look at the pure talent level, right? Geno
Yeah.
Smith, I think, is going to miss this one.
Yeah,
If I'm
Kenny Pickett.
correct,
Kenny Pickett.
yeah, Kenny Pickett's in. Like the Eagles defense might put up 14 points themselves, and the Eagles might win 27-7. It's going to be like a defensive masterclass from the Eagles. So I
Yeah.
can't bet on them in that matchup.
Mm,
As far as some of the other games go, Packers versus Broncos is one that a lot of people have circled on their calendars, and definitely a lot of teams in the NFC and the AFC, both teams fighting for the one seed. What are your thoughts heading into this big tilt in Denver?
Yeah, dude. Well, no, I said it a week ago. With the Packers, styles make fights, and this is another perfect matchup for the Green Bay Packers. Um, First off, Lafleur, Coach Lafleur is 21-4 as a head coach in games in December. You know, he always gets these. We always look for teams after Thanksgiving to get on a roll, and he consistently has the Packers playing at a high level around this time each and every season. So I think the Packers have found a little groove with their passing game. But overall, dude, just like I said, uh, the the Denver Broncos defense plays a lot of man coverage and they blitz. Jordan Love's, excels at those two things, and he's thrown 7 touchdowns over his last 2 games. So, just like I said, Denver's got the sixth highest blitz rate in the NFL, fourth highest man coverage rate. So I really like Jordan Love and the Packers to score a lot of points this week. I think another underrated stat is Josh Jacobs, a former Oakland and Las Vegas Raider. He loves playing against the Denver Broncos. In 8 career games, he scored 9 touchdowns. He's averaged about 96 rush yards per game. Yeah, he's a Denver Broncos killer, dude. So I think he's gonna love playing against this team. But overall, man, I like the Packers. I think their defense could also cause some problems for this Denver Broncos offense. So give me the Packers on the road this week.
Yeah, I think this one's a toss up for sure. And I think that the biggest thing for me is I don't really believe in Denver to win big games this postseason, in large part due to Bo
Mhm.
Nix's performances this year. But
Yeah,
this is a team that I look at heading into this matchup against Green Bay specifically. They've been really good at home this year in general, and Bo Nix has elevated his play when he's played tougher teams. He hasn't been great by any means, but he's been good enough to get this offense within schedule. And the matchup I like really is their offensive line running the football against Green Bay. Chicago had a lot of success against that last week, but didn't do it enough to consistently maintain drives. And Caleb, kind of similar to Bo Nix, stalls out drives because he's just not very consistent as a quarterback. I think Bo in this offense, right, they're winning a lot of football games ugly. And I do think they match up well with Green Bay and the weapons they have a wide receiver. Pat Bryant's an underrated guy you got to watch out for this week. Cortland Sutton, I think, matchups well on the outside. But the other thing I look at is on the defensive side of the ball. The Broncos defense are full of straight killers on that defense. They have everything you need in terms of a pass rush, everything you need in the secondary, and then everything you need to stop the run. I think Josh Jacobs on the ground is definitely a matchup, but he's also a guy that hasn't been practicing this week, and it could be an
yeah,
Emmanuel
banged up.
Wilson game as well. So I think that Denver at home in a game that I feel like both teams are evenly matched, I'm going to go with the Broncos to win this game and extend their
Oh,
winning streak. It's going to be another one score win for the Broncos, and they're just a team that finds a way to win these one score games this year. And it feels like they're also a team in for some regression next year with these one score wins. So with Denver, they're going to continue the winning streak, and they had a good amount of time to prepare for this one. And I like Denver to beat Green Bay in this matchup. The
hey,
next
real
one,
quick, I know Josh Jacobs hasn't been practicing. I just spent a lot of time, watching him since he's come in the league. But dude, against Seattle a couple of years ago, dude, he didn't practice all week. He wasn't even supposed to play with a calf injury. And I was like, man, I don't know what this guy has in the tank. He rushed for that game against Seattle. He rushed for 229 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's gonna play, and I think he's gonna play a lot. So that dude's tough as hell. That's all I gotta say about
my boy Josh Jacobs. That boy Josh Jacobs. All right. Next matchup, the
him.
Indianapolis Colts versus the Seattle Seahawks. Dan, do the Colts have any chance with either Riley Leonard or Philip Rivers at quarterback against this Seattle Seahawks defense that is insane?
Yeah, dude, I think it's gonna be Phil Rivers. I thought that's what I've been, reading. So I expect him to play, dude. It's gonna be wild. In my opinion, he's literally coming off the couch and facing the number 2 scoring defense in the NFL. This is like what Hollywood stories are all about. Like this is what people make movies about, but unfortunately, this isn't Hollywood. This is real life. I think a win. I think a win for the Colts is if Philip Rivers comes out healthy. Like, what's gonna happen if he gets hit? Like, hopefully, like break or something. He gets injured. So, I got the Seahawks, man. The Seahawks are too tough. They're ranked second in scoring offense, second in scoring defense. They're good everywhere, man. And I just put in my notes they have 41 sacks. That's fourth in the league. 218 pressures. That's number one. And I put good luck. So yeah, I got Seattle, dude. They're on a mission, and I think surprisingly, dude, like I've been talking about this team for weeks. I feel like since the beginning of the year, like Seattle could win the Super Bowl, and like no one's talking about them because the Rams are so good, and they're second place, and everyone forgets about them. So I think the Seahawks make a statement, and they win this game.
Yeah, I think Seattle is gonna match up very well, and the one thing people aren't really talking about is the Colts are now down Sauce Gardner 1 and also Charvarius Ward at cornerback, right? That was a
Yeah,
struggle
dude.
for them, and now they're down their top 2 guys once again. The Seattle Seahawks passing game and JSN are gonna be in for a really strong game in this one, and whether or not
Yeah,
Philip Rivers or Riley Leonard give them anything on offense, I think the Seahawks game plan is going to be to stop Jonathan Taylor and how much they can limit them, and they've done a great job against running games the entire year.
yeah,
Seattle is going to win this ball game. The Colts are probably going to lose out the rest of the season. I mean, they have brutal matchups coming up, and it's going to be tough for whoever plays quarterback to win those games. And I think Seattle is also ready for this matchup against Los Angeles, like coming up here, which is going to be a massive tilt for that division race. So I'm going with the Seahawks. Let's talk about some other bad games mixed in here, but also important games, though. You got the Panthers
okay.
traveling to New Orleans, Dan. You got the 49ers hosting the Titans. And then you have the Giants hosting the Washington Commanders. What do you look at in those 3 games? Obviously, the Panthers have a much more important game there.
Yeah, well, I start off with the Washington and Giants. I don't have a lot of notes for this game, but both teams are playing for pride. I picked New York Giants. I think they just have more explosive players, and Mike Kafka, intern coach, he's got to win, and I think he's going to get his first win as a head coach of the New York Giants because they've been playing some good ball. They've been competitive in all those games.
Mm.
Panthers Saints, I like the Panthers.
Mm.
I think they're going to get a boost, especially after Thursday night football. They control the division now, especially with a win. This Panthers, they can't really sack. The 31st in sacks. Miles Garrett has more sacks than this Panthers team, but they play pass defense really well. The Saints have scored. They held teams under 21 in all three of their wins. But I think the difference in this game is the Panthers defense has recorded a takeaway in 5 straight games. So I really
Yeah.
like them to win this game, run the
It's
ball.
probably one of the most underrated units in football.
Yeah, they really are, dude. They really are, and, the Titans 49ers, dude, this is another game I could had a tough time reading, I think, because 'cause I'm like, "Man, the 49ers can't rush the passer." Uh, you know, they're hit or miss on offense sometimes, but I gotta go with the 49ers, man, and I think my thing is the Titans offense isn't consistent. They only score 15 and a half points per game. That's 31st. And the 49ers defense, the last 3 games has only allowed 13 points. And they also have 7 takeaways in that span. So I'll take the 49ers.
Yeah, 49ers are I think they're gonna kill kill them. I think offensively, they're
Think
not
so?
gonna get stopped, right? That's the biggest thing for me, and sure, Cam Ward might get his, like, here and there, but 49ers have everything they need
Good
offensively.
point.
They're
Good
finally healthy on that side of the ball, and they've looked like a different team when all these guys have been healthy
point. Good point.
on offense. As far as the Commanders and Giants go, only thing I know is the over is hitting. It's gonna be a high-scoring affair with both defenses struggling. Marcus Mariota should be in for a nice day. I like him in fantasy. I do like Terry
Yeah,
McLaurin overs. I like
playing against
Chris
them, man.
Rod
I'm playing against them.
I got Chris Rodriguez overs. I got
Sheet.
a lot of overs in that one. Wandell Robinson, like that game is all for scoring
Uh,
if you like that. And then the Panthers versus the Saints. I think this one is a trap game for Carolina, just a little bit.
think
Tyler
so?
Shuck has been very impressive through his first
Yeah.
few starts of his career, and he's made some really impressive throws as well. I just think the Saints, just from a talent standpoint, are going to have a hard
Yeah.
time consistently moving the ball against Carolina. Right? They struggled a little bit against Tampa Bay last week at times. Completely different defense this week, and I know the last time these two teams matched up, it was really close, but Carolina has that ground game and that defense to effectively win these type of games. I'm interested to see
Yeah.
what type of performance I get from Bryce Young and this team coming off of a bye week as well. Maybe they're able to implement Tetero and McMillan more consistently. Maybe they get Jalen Coker more
Yeah,
involved.
hopefully.
Maybe Bryce Young's a little more confident coming off the bye week. We will see what we get from Carolina, but I do think they pull this victory out. All right,
Hey,
final few matchups.
Tedorota McMillan has scored a TD in 3 straight. So let's see if he can keep it
Don't
rolling.
say that, bro. I got him in way too many leagues. You're gonna mush it.
No, I have him too. I have him too.
Bro, we should have let that one to the birder. All right,
Oh,
next
it's fine.
matchup, we got the Lions and the Rams, obviously a classic of 2 teams that made that major trade a few years
Fine.
ago. What are your thoughts entering this one, Dan?
Dude, yeah, this is gonna be a shootout, fireworks. That's what I put down. Both teams are gonna score a lot of points. I think if you're playing against, like you said, Marcus Mariota earlier, if you're playing against Puka, Stafford, any of these Rams guys, Lions guys, you're gonna lose in fantasy, and I'm playing against a lot of them. So yeah, it's gonna be a long week for me in fantasy football. But overall, dude, watching that Rams game last week against the Cardinals, dude, they looked unstoppable. They looked great. 28 plus points, 6 of the last 7 games. Rams defense also is only allowing 17 and a half points per game, but I think they give up a lot of explosive plays, and I think the Lions are going to put up
Yeah.
some points. I think the only difference in this game is the Rams can provide some resistance at whenever the game gets tough. So maybe late in the game they'll get a sack, they'll get an interception. Something's going to happen. I think people don't realize that Jared Goff in the previous 2 games has allowed 3 sacks per game. So he's been getting hit in a lot lately, and there's a reason why they wanted to bring back Frank Reich now. I think this is a game they miss him. Jared Goff's going to be facing a lot of pressure in the interior, and also this Lions defense, dude. They've given up 27 plus points in 3 games in a row, so they're not going to be able to stop this Rams team. It's going to be too much for them. So I really like the Rams.
Yeah, I think the Rams are this is the one matchup that the Lions and the Eagles have had the Rams number over the last few years. I think this was one
Mhm.
where they finally turn the script and win one of these games where they haven't gotten over the hump. The Lions pass defense is just bad. Let's just be honest about it. They don't
Right.
stop the pass very well, and that's something the Rams do very well. So that's not a great matchup for them. On the other side of the ball, I do think the Rams defense is going to provide more challenges for the Lions than they have in the past, right? Their pass rush
Yeah,
is
sure.
incredibly good, and their home and road splits for them are significantly different on the defensive side of the ball. At home, they are much better and they play significantly better on the road. They're about an above average defense, not a great defense. And I think the pass rush for the Rams is going to play a big factor in this one. It's just going to be a matter of can that run defense continue to play strong and slow down Jameer Gibbs because that guy, man, he's just elite and electric. But I like the Rams in this one. I think Puka has a really nice day. Devontae has a nice day. I think that as far as the Lions go in terms of prop bets, like you mentioned, I think Jamison Williams is a solid bet as well. All
Yeah,
right,
dude,
final
they're
two
gonna go
matchups:
off.
the Vikings and the Cowboys. Dan, can the Cowboys stay within the playoff hunt?
Yeah, dude, I really think they can. I think I really like Minnesota's defense, and they've allowed teams under 24 points 4 straight games. And then I think they're gonna cause some problems early, but eventually Dallas's offense is gonna pull away. Dak versus the Blitz, he's got the third most passing yards, got 106.2 passer rating. And I think Dak's going to eventually catch this Minnesota defense on the back of their feet at some point. So they're going to get their points. They play a lot better at home. Like what 33 points per game, I believe. At home, they're a completely different team. And I think on the flip side, the Vikings offense, they exploded last week, 31 points. But I think what people don't realize is JJ McCarthy took 4 sacks in that victory. That's way too much on the season. Minnesota Vikings have allowed 47 sacks. That's third worst in the NFL. And
Yeah.
against this improved defensive line of the Dallas Cowboys, I think that's going to just bite them in the butt. So that's going to be their, whatever, the way they lose this game. And I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with this Dallas offense. They might score, have a little bit of success, but eventually Dallas is going to pull away. So I like the Dallas Cowboys in this matchup.
Yeah, listen, I think Dallas is a team that, I'd look at, right? And I say they're very close to being one of the more dominant teams in football if they get a little bit of more consistency out of the defensive side of the ball. And last week, we saw them regress into a defense that just wasn't very good against Detroit when they didn't need to be. They're at home. Dak at home has been unbelievable his entire career, and this just team in general plays really well at home. So they have that in their favor.
Yeah.
Minnesota, right? JJ McCarthy's coming off his best game of his career, but that was also against one of the worst pass defenses in football. The Cowboys' pass defense over the last few weeks has been about middle of the pack, right? So since that Quinn Williams trade, they've just been a little bit better. That's just enough, I think, for them with their offense to go win this game. And I know everybody's going to be like, Minnesota's pass defense has been really good, right? This is a good defense, but Dallas has so many different ways to beat you. And I think Javante Williams is going to play a massive factor in why the Cowboys win in this one because the Vikings' biggest weakness is their run defense. And they're still going to be like, oh man, we got to prepare for Pickens, Lamb, because Lamb is playing in this one. Jake Ferguson, right? Ryan Florida came on last week and had a big game. We got to prepare for this passing game, but it's going to be a Javante Williams heavy involved game plan. And I think that's how they're going to win. It's going to be a 27-23 ball game. Give me the Cowboys. The final one of the week, Dan,
Like,
Dolphins versus Steelers. What do you got in this one?
yeah, dude, Monday Night Football, big game, dude. I think I look at these games, I look for like a key difference in a matchup. And during this winning streak, the Miami Dolphins has been able to run the ball really well. and that's going to be the difference in this game. My Miami Dolphins have rushed for 160 plus in 4 straight games. Devon Achane 90 plus in 4 straight. They got it rolling on that side of the ball, and oh yeah, Pittsburgh's defense can't stop the run these last 2 weeks. They allowed over 466 yards on the ground. It's gonna be too much for them. Like Tua hasn't really been playing well, but they're gonna be able to run this football on this Pittsburgh Steelers team. On the flip side, dude, Miami's defense has been playing really, really well lately. Under 18 points, 4 straight games. During the span, they've recorded 10 takeaways and 14 sacks. So, Pittsburgh Steelers last week is a good matchup with the Ravens. That's why I picked them. But this week, it's a different beast coming in on the offensive side, and they're not going to be able to keep up with this Miami Dolphins offense. So I like them to victory on the road here.
Yeah, my biggest thing in this matchup is I honestly was leaning Dolphins tilt, but the weather has me a little bit concerned, and
You're
obviously the
nervous.
Steelers are without TJ Watt. TJ Watt is a massive loss for the Steelers defense, and their splits with and without Watt have been significant over the last few years, and that's obviously something that's in the back of my mind. Dan, Tua hasn't won a game in his career under 40 degrees. This game's going to be under 40 degrees, and Pittsburgh is coming off of a massive win against the Baltimore Ravens, and the biggest thing I saw from that win was Aaron Rodgers looked phenomenal in that game. That's the best Rodgers has looked in a little bit, and it was in a must-win game, right? This is a must-win game, dare you say, for the Steelers in this one, maintaining their division
Absolutely.
pace, and their offense looked really good. The Dolphins' defense, while they've been improved, they still have a ton of holes, and I still think the Steelers' offense, while they're not talented, can exploit those holes. So I think Aaron Rodgers, coming off of one of his best games of the year, he looked really well. I think their offense is going to perform well, and I'm not sure what version of Tua I'm going to get in this weather. I think Devon Achane's a good matchup, but the Steelers' run defense is also like pretty good as well. So it is going to come down to whether or not Tua can live up in these cold conditions and make some plays. I'm just going to bet on the team that while the Miami Dolphins might be hotter, the Steelers are at home. This is a tough matchup for Miami in these conditions. Give me the Steelers, and that is going to conclude our Week 15 prediction show. Drop a comment down below all of your hot
Oh
takes.
yeah.
Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Angle content, and me and Dan will catch you guys next time.